Hiya, so I wanted to do another EPP tutorial for how you fussy cut identifiable motifs within your house. So you could fussy cut a whole motif and then you'll be able to see what it is. You could fussy cut it so it's centrally placed within your house. You could fussy cut it on the edges of your house and you'll still be able to tell what it is. You can fussy cut part of the motif, but in a way that you can still identify what the original motif was. So it probably makes more sense if I show you. And the fabrics I'm going to be using are from the new Kushukuru collection by Jessica Swift for Art Gallery Fabrics, because it's so beautiful and it has so much fussy cutting potential. So if you're fussy cutting along, then grab your sewing supplies, and if you're not, then grab a cup of tea, drink, biscuits, anything to see through, and let's get looking at how to fussy cut your motifs within the English paper pieced houses. Okay, so we're going to look at how to fussy cut an identifiable motif, and this can vary from doing a motif so it's centrally placed within your house, or you can sometimes do it so it's closer up here, but then you're going to create a really fantastic secondary effect. So I'm going to show a couple of examples. I like to say identifiable motif rather than a whole motif, because these jaguars, so these fabrics are from the Kushukuru collection by Jessica Swift for Art Gallery Fabrics. I think I've said that correct, but if I haven't, then do let me know. So if I wanted to fussy cut the jaguars and I've only got a 1-inch house, it's obviously not going to fit in. So I can't fussy cut a whole motif, but I can fussy cut an identifiable motif. So what I could do is fussy cut here. You're still going to be able to tell mostly what the original motif was, but I haven't fussy cut the whole thing. And again with the flowers, you could fussy cut the flowers so that they're centrally placed within your house, or you could push it right up to the edge of your house, and then when you've got all four, you're going to create a completely different effect. So I'll start by showing you, I think. So I will go for this fabric, which is from the Kushukuru collection, and I'm going to fussy cut the flowers. I will fussy cut this one so that you can see how to do the cutting and basting when fussy cutting. So with this, I'm using my acrylic template from Paper Pieces, and it's got the 3/8 for seam on it. I'm going to place it on top so I can see roughly where I want it to go, and I then use my scissors to cut around it. If it was in the middle of the fabric, and you obviously don't want to then take a huge chunk out of it, what you can do is place your template on top, and you're just going to make a snip into the fold of the fabric there. So you're not chopping all the way in and wasting anything, you're literally just going to take out that section that you want. So I'm going to cut around it here with my scissors, and I'm just taking care not to move it too much, because obviously I want to get it fairly in place. But the thing with the 3/8 seam allowance is it's a generous seam allowance, so if you go a bit wonky, it doesn't matter too much. So there, I've cut the flower, and then what I'm going to do is I'm now going to get my template out. I'm going to work from the wrong side. So this is the wrong side of the fabric. I'm going to place my template on top and line it up where I want it to go. I'm just going to let the fabric fall open there. So I've just let it fall open. I've checked the position, exactly where I want it to go. Before I do that, actually, I'm just going to take my clips out, because that's what I tend to use when I fussy cut. So place your acrylic on the wrong side, let the fabric just fall away slightly, and you're then just going to tuck the template inside, and you want to place it so it's within those lines. And keep going until you've made sure you've got it dead right. Just about there. And notice here how I haven't let my thumb leave it, and that's to keep hold of it. And then I'm going to fold the paper away and hold it against the fabric and remove that. At this point I'm going to use my clips and hold it in place as securely as I can. Ready to do. So I'm holding it in 3 different edges here, and then I'm going to start folding it. And actually sometimes when I'm fussy cutting I do it this way just to check I'm holding it in the right place. So I've folded it over, I'm going to use my clip to hold it in place. I'm going to use my thumb and fold it over, and then use my clip to hold it in place. Continue to work your way around using your thumb, to hold it in place. Notice here how I haven't used my thread, I haven't used my needle or anything yet, and that's because I want to check that I've got the placement right. So just do this final corner, use your thumb, push that in, and I'm going to use the clip there to hold it in place. So yes, I've got a lot of clips on it, but it also helps me to check what the placement's like on the front and check that I have got it as centrally placed as I can within the house. And it just means then that I can, before I've started using my needle and thread, or then I'd have to unpick it if I didn't get it right. And then I'm just going to go ahead and baste this one. So I start on one of the edges and I go through from the back. Now I've checked it's all right, I'm going to come back up and hold this corner down in place. And I'm just going to continue working my way around, making sure the thread doesn't catch on the clips, just removing the clips as I go. And you can see where I've placed the clips, I've placed them all on the corners because that's really where I want the strength to be. So continue going, holding my thread down in the corner, and it just holds that fold into place. So come back up halfway along, take the clip off and go down. I'm going to continue working my way around here, bring the needle up, going down. And if you glue base, it might be slightly different. This is just the way, whoops, as I just pinged that one off. Just went up the wall actually. So I'm going to go here, and I'll come back through here. Tie a knot in the back of the work. Just a single knot, just enough so it's not going to come undone. Clip the thread. And there, you've got your identifiable motif and it's centrally placed within your house. Then you go ahead and repeat that same process until you've got a set of 4. When you've got a set of 4 and you've sewn them together, they'll look something like this. And you can see it's got the flower and it's a whole motif and it's identifiable and it's centrally placed within your house. You could also fuss cut an identifiable motif but not centrally placed. What I'm going to do is exactly the same flower used as the previous block, but I'm going to push the edges of the flower right up against the edges of the house there, and you can see it's really snug against there, and it's still enough of motif that it's identifiable. Well, it's all of the motifs, so it's still identifiable, you're just doing a slightly different placement. The same thing, you're just going to go around and cut it using your seam allowance. And the 3/8 here is where it comes in really handy. And then that same last snip, and then same process of on the back of your work, out the way so you can see. So on the back of here, you're then going to place your acrylic on top, just to check where you want it. And I want these points pushed right up against the edge of that flower. I'm then going to let that fold open ever so slightly. I'm going to slide this template in so it lines up with the house shape on the template, so those inner lines. Still holding it with my thumb, and then hold the paper piece against the fabric, take that away. And you can just about see the edge of that motif there. You can just about see the edge of the flower motif here from the back, and that's because you've pushed it right up against there. So that's perfect, that's exactly what you want to do. And I'm just going to hold the clips here to make sure it's all held in place. Really carefully moving my hands around without moving the template. And I'm just going to check this fold here. So using your nail, really give it a crisp press. You can see there, I folded it right up and it's holding it just against there. And this is the process I do for all fussy cutting, so I always check it with the clips before I start thread basting, just because it saves time, just in case I've got it ever so slightly wrong. And especially when it comes to matching the two shapes up together, you can then check them with each other before sewing. So with all the clips on, apart from that one over here, I can see I've got it right where I want it to be, and I'm then going to start thread basting. So I'm going to go down from the back, come back up slightly along and then hold that fold into place, and then that just stops it coming undone. And I'm going to continue working my way around, taking the clips off. Making sure that I go down on the corners to hold it in place. And coming back up on one of the longer edges. That's where it doesn't need to be held in place as much. Just taking the clips off as I go. And then once you get back to where you started, just tie a knot, clip your thread, make sure your tail hasn't got caught. Yeah. And tie a knot on it here. Use my thread snippers. And there, I've got the flower pushed right up against the edges. So you're then going to go ahead and repeat that so that you've got 4 houses that are the same. And then when you've pieced the 4 together and sewn them, you've still got a whole motif or an identifiable motif, but because you pushed it right up close to the points of the house, you're getting this really interesting secondary design coming through here, as well as this negative space in the middle. So that's another way of capturing an identifiable motif. So I've still got the flower as identifiable. I've just slightly altered the placement from being central within the house to right up to the point. And you could also go the other way, so make sure that you put the flower towards the flat bottom of the house. And this is when the middle really comes into its own here, because you're allowing that to pop. So same flower, well, this one's a slightly different flower but same fabric, but by placing it in different areas of the house you can create completely different looks to your block. This one almost looks 3D, like another design popping out in the middle, and you can get the same sort of effect with fussy cutting these rainbows too. So you could place them centrally within your house over here. You've sewn 4 together, it looks something like this, and I quite like this negative space here, but you could also change the orientation. So whereas before we've placed it at the same direction within each house, here I've changed the house and making sure I've placed it at different angles on the fabric. So they've still got a rainbow shape and they've still got it centrally placed within the house, but slightly different directions, and it kind of gives it a different overall look. I did fussy cut the houses like this by rotating the house shape. We've typically placed it on like that, but then to make sure that the orientation, they're all the same way, you would then fussy cut each house slightly differently, so as if you are literally rotating it as you go. You could push it right up to the point of the house, and then obviously when you repeat it, this negative space here, you're really going to get that popping through. You've sewn it together and you've pushed the rainbow right up to the point of your house, you're then getting this really interesting shape here coming right through at the centre of your block. You could go right up to this end, and that would work especially with this larger rainbow, right up to the other end. And you can see here that's now creating that flat edge across the point of the house. That can create a completely different look. And similarly, if you flip it round, so you do that way for the rainbow instead, and you can see here that by putting the curve of the rainbow against the point of the house, once you've repeated this 4 times, that's going to get another look right at the centre of your block there. Sewn together as a 4, you've created this curved square shape in the centre, and that looks really striking too. And then the last block I wanted to show you was fussy cutting the jaguars, like I said at the start. And I only fussy cut part of the motif, so you can see there, because I couldn't fit the whole motif on it, but in a way that it's still identifiable, and you also get quite an interesting secondary design coming through. So you could do the same here, where you're not fussy cutting a whole motif because you can't fit it in, but it will still be identifiable. So that is how to fussy cut your identifiable motifs. So the range of options, we looked at fussy cutting part of the motif but in a way that it's still identifiable. We looked at fussy cutting the motifs by rotating the house so that the orientation is the same on all of them. We looked at fussy cutting them so that they're centrally placed within your houses. Then we looked at fussy cutting by pushing them right up to the points of the houses, which are these two. And the same with that one there. And then we looked at fussy cutting them right up the square bottom bits of the houses. So lots of options for how to fussy cut identifiable motifs, and completely different looks by placing them in different areas. So let me know what you think. Let me know which ones you're going to have a go at doing. Share your pictures of your makes, and I can't wait to see them. And I'll see you soon when I do another EPP tutorial. Bye.